Well, good afternoon. I passed around my business cards to all of you, and if you look at the business card for my name, you can see that my parents made it doubly difficult for me, because John is Jon. There's no H in my name. And the joke is, maybe I'm in law enforcement because I learned right from wrong and consequences of my actions, because there's no H, because she beat the H out of me when I was a kid. And the last name, you may remember the rule from school. It's I before E, except in Beival. So that's how you can remember my name, Beival. So my background is kind of unusual because I grew up in the Northeast, and when I was in third grade, they started a conversational French program. Twice a week, an instructor would come in, speak French with us. And I continued studying French all the way through school. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 20, and I learned to speak Spanish self-taught. My first marriage, the family spoke Dutch, and I was around them a lot. And so I learned Dutch. Because I have an affinity for languages, God gave me an ability in languages. The Mandarin Chinese came from the Army. I was trained. It's a very difficult course. It's over a year long, 6 hours of class a day, about 2 to 3 hours of study at night, just Chinese, for over a year. So, 现在我会讲非常流利的中文. Now I speak fluent Chinese. I've interviewed murderers in Chinese for the sheriff's office, all kinds of different crimes. Spanish, I get called even when they're on the road. The deputies will call me and say, "Hey, Beival, can you speak with this individual? He speaks Spanish," and I'll translate for them on the road, and it helps. I've interviewed people in the jail for the detectives. I'm one of a few people that speak Spanish in the department, and I certainly am the only one that speaks Chinese. I'm it. And you know, it's funny because I could pass as French, Spanish, obviously English, Dutch, but I can't pass as Chinese. So years ago, when I was working for an American company and I was over in Taiwan, one afternoon at the hotel I was staying at had a beautiful pool. And this is 30-something years ago. I was much younger. I was in really good shape. I swam a lot. And I'm laying out at the swimming pool at this hotel, and I just have shorts on, no shirt. Well, Chinese men don't have any hair on their chest, and we Westerners, we have a lot of hair, right? So 2 girls walk by. It's open to the public. They pay a little entrance fee. Of course, they're Taiwanese, and they speak Chinese. They don't know that I speak Chinese. And as they're walking past me, one says to the other one, "Hey, 你看他像一个熊猫. Hey, look at him. He looks like a panda bear." Black and white. So I kept a straight face, and I was thinking, what can I say to them? I've got to say something smart to them. And then they went into the swimming pool. I went into the pool. I swam over by them, and they're shy to speak English. I said, "Hello." They said, "Hello." And then in Chinese, I said to them, 对不起, 你们都没有想到这个熊猫会讲中文. Excuse me, you never expected this panda to speak Chinese, did you? So I'm sure that they turned very red, and they'll never forget that story themselves. But I have been blessed by the Lord multiple times. 26 years ago, I was diagnosed with a deadly form of cancer. And similar to a melanoma, called a leiomyosarcoma, and got caught in time. They did a wide area excision, and I've been safe ever since. I recently had another form of cancer in my right kidney. So I had a partial nephrectomy, and God was watching over me because I'm fine. The most difficult thing, although it wasn't for me, could I play the actual dash cam video so they can hear the sound?
Yeah, if you can put it by the mic so we
Sure.
can put it on the...
This was July 16, 2017, almost 8 years ago. I've been a hostage negotiator with SWAT for years. Now I've stepped down, but this was a hot July day, wearing all this gear, and an individual who had snapped when his girlfriend told him she was moving back up to New York with her 6-year-old son and her mother. And they'd only dated for about 8 months. So he lived this is the north end of the county off of Parks Road. He lived in a trailer. The girl and her mother and her son lived about 200 yards away in another house that they were renting. They had all met and worked at Walmart together. And when she told him that they were moving back up to New York, he snapped, and he beat her up that weekend. She never called us. On the Sunday, again, he said, "You're not leaving." She said, "You're welcome to come with us." He strangled her. He let go of her. He dragged her out to the living room. He pulled a gun out of his waistband. He fired one shot into the kid's toy box. He fired a shot into the kitchen floor, put the gun to her face, didn't use polite language, and he said, "I'm going to kill you, your son, your mother, and any cop that comes out here." And he meant it. Well, Mama, knowing there was a problem in that relationship anyway, blowing up the daughter's phone, the daughter's not answering. So she drives over and pulls into the driveway and honks. Nothing. She honks again. Nothing. Gets out of the car, walks up to the door. The daughter opens the door, and she's white as a ghost. She says, "Mom, we got to get out of here. He's going to kill us." So they start walking towards Mom's car in the driveway. And Grandma realizes the 6-year-old son is still in the house. So she turns back around to go towards the house, thinks quickly, yells out, his name was Chance, "Chance, I just bought clothes for you. They're out in the car. Come out here." 6-year-old boy comes running out, and they thank God. As she's turning around to walk back to the car, the guy steps in the doorway with a .38, points it at her back, diabolically laughing, and says, "I'm going to effing kill you." Thank God he didn't pull the trigger, for whatever reason. And they drove back to the house and immediately dialed 911. So when you tell them it's a domestic, one of the first questions that's asked is, "Does he have any weapons?" And she said, "Yes, he does. He has an AK-47, plenty of ammo, and handguns." So in our patrol cars, we have a computer. It's wirelessly connected. And so I'm getting all the reports of what's going on in that house. And as a hostage negotiator, I was on patrol in the north end of the county. I immediately drove to that location. And as I drove past the house, there was a patrol car that was parked in front of the house. A couple of my deputies were on the side of the house with their rifles. One deputy was behind that patrol car, which was a Ford Explorer, and he had his rifle. I drove down to the mother's house. The lieutenant said to me, "Hey, Beival, you're a negotiator. Go up there, use the PA, and try to talk him out." As I was walking past my patrol car, I have an M4 as well, AR-15, and I debated, should I take my rifle? And something told me from above, don't, might get in the way. And so I went up there. Driver's door was open, knowing he was about 100 feet away, GBI measured it at 120 feet. I was leaning over the driver's seat so he couldn't blow my head off when he opened fire. I got hit in both legs. I never made a sound. I stayed cool and calm. I immediately pulled out my tourniquet because my right leg was bleeding pretty bad. The left leg wasn't bad. I stayed as small as I could to get to the back of that patrol car, and I could hear those rounds zinging past me. When I got to the back of the patrol car, I said to the other officer, who didn't know I had been hit, "I've been hit in the legs. I got my tourniquet out. I need your help in getting it over my boot." Secured it. The firing had stopped. We figured he was reloading. My lieutenant did not know what kind of shape I was in because when I told that deputy I had been hit, he radioed, "Beival's been hit." So he didn't, and he's a big, muscular guy, this lieutenant that was running up the hill. He thought, "Oh, I'm going to have to drag Beival down the hill." Well, I sprinted down the hill with my lieutenant. I beat him to my car by about a step. I was going for the driver's door. He goes, "No, get in the back." So I got in the back, and off we went 120 miles an hour to the hospital, and thanks to God I'm here. But I want you to know that AK-47 was modified. He had modified the sear in the firing pin, and it was fully automatic. And he had a drum magazine with 75 rounds that all came at me. So if you don't believe in God, there's something wrong with you when you experience something like that. It's a miracle that I'm alive. It's a miracle that I still thanks to God, I can go out and I can talk with people and I can help them. And that's what I do. I do a lot of public speaking for the sheriff's office. I was on patrol for many years, so I know a lot about what we do. And so for me to go out and speak to the public, representing the sheriff's office, Sheriff Ron Freeman is our sheriff here in Forsyth County. He's an excellent man. He's a really good Christian. And he knows that when I speak to the public, it comes from my heart. Because our sheriff's office here, and I'm not saying anything bad about any other law enforcement agencies in the area, but I know we have the best training, we have the best equipment, we have the best support from the community. And the fact that the community supports us the way they do. How many of you live in Forsyth County? Any of you? Okay. In this county, we are a full-service sheriff's office, which means we handle every aspect of law enforcement. By law, the state constitution mandates that a sheriff's office manages the courts, the jail, and civil affairs. So as an example, in Gwinnett County, you have the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office. They handle the jail, the courts, and civil affairs. Then you have Gwinnett County Police Department. They handle all the other law enforcement, uniform patrol, SWAT, et cetera, et cetera. We handle everything. And about 2 weeks, and I told this to Hines, about 2 weeks after I got shot, I went to see the sheriff to show him I was doing well. We talked. I said, we're blessed by the people in this county, the support that we have. He said, yes, John. He said, we really are. I said, as a matter of fact, in this county, when a citizen waves at you, they use all 5 fingers. Because in other places, they don't have that kind of support from law enforcement. So, you know, it's... Let me play, I meant to play this video for you. This is the actual dash cam video. You'll hear the sounds of the 75 rounds coming at me.
Yeah, just put it on the mic there.
That was me on the PA. You hear them hitting the patrol car? So when I tell you God was watching over me, after hearing that, you have to agree. There's no question about it. And the Lord lets me go out and speak to people all the time. And I do a lot of presentations lately on scams.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me ask you real quick.
Yes, sir.
How did you come to know Jesus as the Lord and Savior?
Well, I do a lot of security work, and I do work in churches, and I get to listen to the sermons, and so it's just become part of me. Every Sunday I'm at church. Now, it's nice because I get paid for security, but at the same time, I get to hear the sermons. I get to see everything that's going on, and I love the people at the church that I work for. So it's a blessing to be there. It really is. And they pay me. And they pay me.
Did you grow up in that?
No, my parents weren't very religious.
Yeah.
So it is just of my own doing that I've turned to Jesus and the Lord. Thank you. It is, and obviously from my stories that I'm telling you, there's a reason I'm still alive. I forgot also about the melanoma that I had. So I probably still have, if I was a cat, probably maybe 3 or 4 lives left. But it's just...
Before you start the scams, Eddie, let's see if there are some other questions.
Oh, sure. Does anybody have any questions from the audience here or here? Any questions?
Jeff, you usually have a question or two.
I do, but I'd rather wait until the end.
Okay.
I have lots of questions, and I just want to say now that I appreciate your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
And a bunch of old military here, Marines and Army.
Yes.
Vets with me. Thank you. And
You're welcome. Well, you know, we always had this rivalry. Who was a Marine? Who is a Marine?
well said.
Yes.
Yes.
And who's Army? Okay. So we always had this rivalry with Marines. Always, Army, Marines. And so I came up with this line, and I use this on Marines all the time. It may not be politically correct, but we're here with friends, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'll say to a Marine, does your wife know you're gay? And they say, what are you talking about? I said, well, you guys never leave your buddies behind. And so the last time I did that, one of the Marines was with his wife, and he said, oh, yeah. He said, you know what Army stands for? I said, no, what? He said, ain't ready for Marines yet. I said, you are right. You guys are one of a kind, and we really appreciate what you all have done as well. First in, you're tough. You guys are tough.
And you grew up in, tell me a little bit about where you grew up.
I grew up in a small town up northeast in New Jersey. I was actually born in the Bronx. So, yeah, Yankees, yeah. So if you want to talk with a New York accent, I can do that. Not a problem. When I was 8, my parents moved, and I'm an only child. My parents moved to a suburb just across the George Washington Bridge in New Jersey called River Edge. 26,000 people, nice middle-class community, good schools, and that was, it was an interesting time of growing up. It was during the Vietnam War and all the turmoil that was in this country. So I'm thankful that I took the right turns. I did. I missed the draft. I was a very low number. And then I went into the Army on my own. And this is a funny story. I was working, and one of the guys I was working with, we were just talking one day, and he says, oh, yeah, he says, my cousin's going into the Army. He's going to learn Chinese. He's going to learn Russian. I'm like, and I knew I had an affinity for languages at that point. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I don't know. He said, he's going into the Army. They're going to teach him Russian. They're going to teach him Russian? He said, yeah. So I was curious. And I went to the library. There was no internet. And I started to research some stuff. And then I went to a recruiter, an Army recruiter. And, of course, they're used car salesmen. They'll tell you anything. And my parents were like, are you sure you want to do that? You're a little bit rebellious. I said, no, I can follow orders. And the recruiter told me, yes, first you take the ASVAB, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, and that will give an indication of some of the skill sets that you may have. And then there's another test, which is called the D-Lab. The D-Lab is a made-up language they teach in a very brief period of time, and then you run through this program where they're teaching you this language in a very short period of time, 2.5 hours, and you get tested. And it was very abstract. It was a made-up language. When I walked out of there, I said to the recruiter, forget about it. He goes, no, just wait. They'll score you. So if you scored on the low end and you went to the language school, you could get one of the shorter courses such as French or Spanish. They were 6-month courses. If you scored high, you could get one of the year-long courses, Russian, Farsi, Chinese, etc. One of my buddies who was CIA, he studied Japanese, which was also a year-long course. So when they scored me, their question was, what language do you want? And I knew that Chinese was going to be an important language for the future. And it still is. It very much is. I may be old, I'm not cold, and if they need me, I can go and translate stuff for them. So, but I've got a few more minutes, right?
Yes, go ahead. Tell about your scams.
Yeah. One of the things that we're seeing a lot more of, probably the most prolific crimes we're seeing, are scams. And the scammers are very clever. When I talk to groups of people, when I tell them about this, I'll always say, when I'm telling you these things, you have the strength in numbers. But when you're home alone and you get one of these phone calls, it's not the same because you've got nobody else around. And what the scammers try to do, and I'll give you one example of a call. You might get a phone, and this doesn't matter whether you're in Forsyth County, Gwinnett County, Fulton County, I don't care where you are, Rabun County. The scammer might say, might even use my name if they use Forsyth County. I'm Deputy Beival with the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. You failed to appear for jury duty. By 5 o'clock, there's going to be a warrant for your arrest. And you're sitting there thinking, I didn't even know I had jury duty. But they've scared you sufficiently because it's a cop that's calling you and telling you there's going to be an arrest warrant. And I've taken many reports from people, or I've taken phone calls from people who have had that call. An elderly gentleman called one day. He was crying on the phone. He was so scared he was going to be arrested. And I told him, no, it's a scam. Don't worry about it. But what they do is, by scaring you like that, they'll tell you what they need you to do. They won't let you off the phone. And typically, what they have you do is go down to one of the local stores and buy gift cards, prepaid gift cards. It could be as stupid as somebody buying Apple gift cards or prepaid visas and reading the numbers off the back. This is what they're telling you to do. Reading the numbers off of the back of the card. And as soon as you do that, they've used the money off of that card for their own accounts. And so the card's worthless at that point. Thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. Because the person was scared. It's the police. They're telling me what to do. They won't let me off the phone. If you had hung up the phone, you might have come with a clear mind and think, this doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, too many people are so scared they stay on the phone, and they become victims of that. I took a report several months ago from a gentleman that came to the precinct with his wife, Indian couple, very nice. And he said, I've been scammed. I said, what happened? He got a phone. Now, let me backtrack. There's something called spoofing, S-P-O-O-F-I-N-G. Spoofing is a way, by using a computer program, a person can make a phone call look like it's coming from a specific number. So this particular couple, the gentleman got a phone call from Cumming Police Department, because they spoofed the Cumming Police Department's number. Now, it doesn't require them to contact Cumming PD at all. They just use this software, and it makes the call look like the caller ID pops up, it's Cumming PD. So he gets a call from Cumming PD, and they start telling him the story that his name has come up in an investigation with the Mexican cartel in Texas. And he's involved in fentanyl, he's involved in guns, and he's in deep trouble. Well, the man is scared to death now. Well, what do I need to do? And they advise him what he needs to do. He transferred $59,000, which he'll never see again. I am too, but I said to him, how long have you been in the United States? He said 9 years. I said, have you done anything bad? He said, no. I said, why would you wire transfer $59,000 to somebody you didn't even know and you hadn't done anything bad? He said he was scared. Yeah. This happens all the time. I did a presentation 2 weeks ago at Park at Johns Creek, which is a 55 plus. I had about 60 people in the audience. They're all residents there. And it's not an assisted living facility. And as I was doing my presentation talking about these different scams, a woman raised her hand and she said, she got scammed out of $40,000. She said, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to continue living here. Because when they get you on the phone, again, you're at home, you're alone, you've got nobody to confer with. And sometimes as we age a little bit, we get a little bit more gullible to some things. And we lose some. What were we talking about? As we get a little older, yeah. But we're seeing this constantly, and we're one agency, and we take reports for these kinds of things every day. We had a person who was scammed out of $1 million over a course of time. His entire nest egg. Now, there's a movie that's out, and I think you can watch it on Netflix. It's called The Beekeeper. Any of you seen it?
I've heard of it.
It's very good. It's a Jason Statham movie, so there's a lot of martial arts. He's very good in the movie as well. It's a story about a woman who gets scammed out of her nest egg. She's a retiree, and the fund that she's representing, which has over $1 million in it. And it's worthwhile watching. It's very worthwhile. The Beekeeper. If you get a chance, watch it. But we're seeing this all the time. And people don't realize until after it's done that it was a scam. Now, there are exceptions to the rules. As an example, a 78-year-old woman who's been widowed for a while meets a guy online, chatting, and he makes all these wonderful statements to her. And over the period of time, he gets to know her, and he says, you know, I've got a house in Portugal. You and I will live there. We'll get married. We'll live there forever. It's going to be great. And she's buying into this because she's been lonely for years. And over the course of time, he also starts saying, you know, right now I'm having a hard time accessing my funds because they're coming in, whatever. She says, well, how can I help? No, how can I help you? Well, she starts sending him money. And this continues. Well, the son, who's probably 60-ish, tries to convince his mother, as the rest of the family, that this isn't real. This is fake. She will not let it go. So she continues down that wrong path. It's hard to imagine that people could be that way, but they are. Many people are. And they lose a lot of money in the process. If you ever, you know, all of you I know were raised to be polite. If you ever get, first of all, no one from law enforcement is ever going to call you and tell you you need to pay something for something. Never. They'll never do that. I don't care whether it's Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office or Gwinnett County Police Department, Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, the GBI, the FBI, the IRS. If we want you, we'll come to your house and we'll get you. So if you ever get a call like that, just hang up. Hang up. I give you permission to be rude. Just hang up. Don't talk to them. There's another one which is pretty popular, and this is the computer pop-up. So you're sitting on your computer. All of a sudden, you get this pop-up on your screen. Actually, this is what happened to the woman in the movie The Beekeeper, but I've actually taken reports for this. Caution, your computer may be infected. Call us to fix your computer. So a woman comes to the precinct, filing a report for fraud. She was a victim of this scam. Popped up on her screen. She called the number. They said, for $329 for a 1-year term, we can control your computer. Should it have any malware like it has now, we'll clean it for you and fix it. She's not a computer expert. She knows nothing about computers. So she says, okay. Gives her the credit card number over the phone, and now she has a contract. A couple of days later, she thinks, you know, I'm going to cancel it. She calls him back up, and they're very courteous. Oh, absolutely, we'll refund your money, not a problem at all. A couple of days later, she checks her bank account. She's got $3,329 as a deposit. She's an honest woman. She's supposed to get $329 back. She calls him up and she says, this is what's in my $3,300. Oh, we had an accounting error. Really sorry. Just send it back to us. And she does. But she had verified with her bank that that deposit was made in her checking account. $3,329. So she sends him back $3,000. They had moved $3,000 from her money market account. They had access to her computer. They moved it from her money market account into her checking account so it looked real, because it was her money. And she sent them her money back. These scammers are using all kinds of techniques. How many of you have received a text on your phone recently? Peach Pass, contact us. Many people. As soon as you click on one of those links, you're in the quicksand. Because it's essentially going to put something on your phone, some malware. They can read everything off of your phone. Or they want you to call them. Here's another scam. Be careful about this. This is very, very popular. You might get a text message that says, Amazon has detected some fraudulent activity on your account. Please call us to verify your information. And you call the number that's in that text. You just stepped into the quicksand. They may answer the phone, Amazon security, but it's not really. Hey, I got this text message that there was some fraudulent activity on my account. I'm supposed to call and verify my information. Yes, ma'am, this is Amazon security. All right, we need your name, verify your name. Susie Cream Cheese, okay? What's your address? They don't have any of this. 206 Main Street, Columbus, Georgia. Okay? Can you verify the credit card number that's on file with us? You give it to them because you're not thinking. Emails the same way. Let's say you bank with Bank of America. Well, what these scammers do is they send out thousands of these emails, like the old junk mail, where if they got a few people that responded, they had a good day. So they send out these emails the same way, and you get an email from Bank of America, who you bank with, and it looks legitimate. It's their logo, it's their information, very professional. And again, we've detected suspicious activity on your account. Please call us to verify your information. And you call the number that's in that email. Again, that's not, if you ever get an email like that, and you really do bank, and maybe it's from Wells Fargo, maybe it's from Bank of America, pull out your credit card, and on the back of that credit card, call that number. Do not call what's in the email. Yes. I took a one-day class with the FBI, and it was about business email compromise. They're doing this to the businesses as well. So they'll send out an email to the employees, a phishing email they call it, and maybe one employee responds. Now they have an in with that email, they know, and then they'll find out who sends out payments to the vendors. So they'll send an email that says, your current bill is $7,500, and the person that does the accounting, that's a regular payment that they make to a particular vendor. And they send off the $7,500. But it might be that that vendor really wasn't the vendor in that email. Because business email compromise, and they do this for civilians in their regular email as well, maybe the real email, and I'll make it very simple, the real email address might be joesmith@gmail.com. What you won't notice is the slight variation where it's joesm1th@gmail.com. The accountant people, they don't see that. They don't see the full email address. They see just the part of it that is they're used to seeing, and they send the payment off. I took a report from a company here in Forsyth County. They sold used church furniture, small company. They got scammed for $345,000 on that business email compromise. It's amazing. They said, we don't even know if we're going to be able to remain in business now. But the scammers have no hearts. They never learn right from wrong. They have no conscience. They don't care. They don't care. I just want you to all be very cautious and be very suspicious of anything that you get. I mean, I get text messages all the time, and there's another one that's coming out these days. So you have SMS messaging, right? And then you have phishing. And the phishing that these people do is called it's spelled Phishing. And essentially, they're throwing out a line with a hook, and if you happen to be the one that bites, they're going to reel you in. So the new one that they have is called smishing, which is SMS and phishing. You get a message on your phone that says, hey, what time today we're going to meet for golf? You're like, respond. Now, I think you got the wrong person. Well, now, that computer-generated message, when you text back, now they've discovered it is a live number, it is a valid number. And again, you've stepped into the quicksand at some point. I took a report from a gentleman from Singapore. Bitcoin is a big thing now, right? Crypto. So this gentleman became a victim where he had met a beautiful Chinese girl online. She was model-like. She had the finest accessories. She had Gucci and she had Chanel. She dressed to the hilt. Beautiful apartment. Excuse me. So he's chatting with her online. And at one point, he says, well, can I ask you, you seem to be very successful. What do you do? She says, well, I do crypto. He goes, really? Could you teach me that? Sure, why not? Do you have a Bitcoin, do you have a wallet, a Bitcoin wallet? He says, what's that? He says, all right, I'll help you with that. I'm going to send you a link to set up a Bitcoin wallet. That's how you put the money in. Okay, so he fills it out, sends it off, puts in a small amount of money, maybe he puts in $5,000, and as he's watching, he sees, thank you for coming.
I wish I had more time.
Thank you. You're very welcome. He sees that his money is growing. And human nature is greedy, right? Greed. So he puts more money into it. And he's still chatting with her. He goes, oh, this is fabulous. She goes, yeah, you're doing well. Gets up to $100,000 he's invested in it. And he goes online every day and he's seeing his money grow. He's ecstatic. Until one day he goes online to check his balance. There's no account. It's gone. Can you imagine $100,000? You work all your life to save as much as you can, and these bad guys, they don't care. I'll give you something to look up. If you will Google the term Yahoo Boys, like Yahoo, right? Yahoo, Yahoo Boys. Just Google it.
All together?
It's separate, Google Boys. Google space boys. And when it pops up, I want you then to click at the top where it says images, and it'll show you pictures of these guys. They're in Nigeria and Ghana. Obviously, they're all black. They're wearing tank tops, shorts, flip-flops, dirty. They have laptops. They sit in Wi-Fi internet cafes all day long, scamming people all over the world. 60 Minutes did a segment on it several months ago, which I happened to catch. And so the woman that was doing the interviewing, she asked the leader, doesn't this bother you that you're taking money from people like this? He said, I went to college. I can't find a job here. And it doesn't bother him. Some of those people become millionaires. And there's no extradition from there to here, so we have no jurisdiction there. So this continues on. Yahoo Boys. Took a report from a Chinese woman, romance scam, similar thing. Meets a guy. Now, she doesn't speak much English, so she came to the precinct. I spoke with her in Chinese. She had met a guy online, and she knows enough English where she can type it out and she can read it. She just doesn't speak it very well. He was a captain in the U.S. Army stationed in Syria. He sent a picture of his balance in his account, $300,000. He had a 13-year-old son back in the States and a caretaker because his wife had passed away. Play the violin, right? So she feels sympathy for him, and she's looking for romance. How can I help? Oh, because I can't access my money over here in Syria. And my son and the caretaker, and I'm just, well, how can I help? No, I want to help you. Well, I need $8,000 so that I can pay for whatever. And she wire transfers $8,000 to the bank in New York that he advises. The money goes up there, it's transferred, it's collected, and it's gone. And I'm telling her, this is a scam. She says, well, I want to see if I can get my money back. I'm telling you, it's gone. Would you go to the bank with me and tell them, because she can't speak English, so I go to the Bank of America branch downtown Cumming. They file a report and said the only way she's going to get the money back is if the recipient returns it to that branch up there, that bank, which is wasn't Bank of America, and then we can get that money back from that bank. Needless to say, she never got the money back. And then she played for me a voicemail message she had received from the guy. And I listened to it, and obviously with my languages, and I didn't tell you, I probably know salutations in about 30 other languages. I'm very attuned to accents. And she plays that voicemail message for me, and he was Nigerian. So I told you about Yahoo Boys. It's taken place all over the world. I want to thank you very much for giving me the time. I've got another meeting to go to. And anytime you want me to come back, I'd love to. If you don't want me to come back, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you.
Let me close up here.
All right.
What an amazing meeting. And I think of Deputy Sheriff Jon being on a radio program. He has got an amazing voice, and this could be the beginning of something big. Anybody here can take him and take that and run with it, please. I'm serious. I'm dead serious, and the information you presented is stunning. So,
may I say this?
Yes, please.
My voicemail message in my office is this. Hello, and thank you for calling. You've reached the office of Deputy Jon Beival. You have the right to remain silent, or you can leave me a voicemail message.